Good afternoon, everybody. Meeting friends from the media. It's my pleasure to be here. I'm Francis Ho, the Acting Director of the Hong Kong Economic and Trade Office. Welcome to this press conference. Of course, the major speaker today is Her Worship Lisa McCallion. But I just want to do a little introduction before we pass the microphone to the Mayor to talk about her experience. Every year, the Hong Kong government invites distinguished leaders from around the world to Hong Kong. In this year, of course, we are delighted to have the Mayor, Hazel McCallion, to join us to participate in the visit. Mayor McCallion took a visit in mid-November, and during her visit, she met with some of the senior government officials in Hong Kong, and she also took one of the district visits to see for herself how our city works. And she also visited the transportation companies, and she just told us that about the little Getty watch that she had when she was in Hong Kong. So after her visit with these companies and government officials, she joined the Hong Kong Canadian Business Associations and other Hong Kong families members in Hong Kong for the Hong Kong Forum and the World Assembly Expo. I just want, she had a great experience in her day. And DJ Mark, on my right, is the chairman of the Toronto chapter of the Hong Kong Business Association. And she would like to talk about a little bit more about the Hong Kong Forum. On me, left-hand side is Andre Mack. You guys, he is the chair of the Mississauga Board of Chinese Professionals and Businessmen. And Larry Pedwell is the Director of Economic Development in Mississauga. These two gentlemen accompanied the Mayor during her visit, and they will a little bit later talk about their experience in Hong Kong as well. This gentleman here, Andrew Yui, is the Director of Hong Kong Trade Development Council's operation in Canada. The Trade Development Council is the major force behind the Hong Kong Forum held in Hong Kong, and Andrew will of course talk about a little bit more about the Hong Kong Forum and the Hong Kong Trade Development Council's work in Canada. So without further ado, I'll invite Hazel McCallion, Mayor, to talk a little bit more about her experience in Hong Kong.
Thank you very much, and it was a wonderful experience, very informative and well organized, I have to say, for both Andre and Larry and I. It went according to clockwork, as they say. It was very, very well organized. We had the opportunity to meet with 12 departments of the government, of the situation in Hong Kong, and we also had the pleasure of meeting with the two members of the Legislative Council, and I felt right at home because they disagreed with one another. It was like the opposition and the government in power. It was quite interesting. I think we enjoyed that very, very much, to hear the chatter back and forth and etc. It reminded me of the question period in the House of Commons and the legislature of the province. Anyway, the Team Canada Mississauga delegation really, it was a wonderful experience. I've been to Hong Kong many times, but this time was very special. I've been there on a trade mission, strictly meeting with companies. But this time we got an overview and an excellent picture of how Hong Kong now relates to China in regards to the takeover of Hong Kong by China. There's been a lot of, in my opinion, in this country, a lot of lack of information about it, thinking, have things changed? And if they have changed, what changes have occurred? So we had the opportunity to learn that there is a great advantage to businesses going through Hong Kong in dealing with China because of this relationship that has been negotiated with the situation that occurred, in which doing business through Hong Kong gives you some privileges. that you wouldn't have if you dealt directly with China. And that has been, from my experience in dealing with, and I'm sure it's the same with Larry and Andre here, in dealing with companies that we try to encourage to invest and to connect with China, has been, well, there's too much risk. And Hong Kong plays a major role in eliminating a lot of that risk by what they've been able to negotiate with the mainland. And I think that is something that impressed the three of us, that we were not aware of before. Secondly, we visited the transportation department, which was very, very interesting. Interesting to find out it is entirely privatized, the transportation system, as well as the smart card, or as we call it here, in which the Octopus Company runs, owns and operates, I should say, the smart card. And what was impressive about that, how they've extended that smart card to the private sector, which I'm now talking to Harinder Thakur, our Minister of Transportation. I spoke with him this morning, saying how can we get the private enterprise involved in our system here, because it's a very costly system to implement. And that's how Hong Kong has been able to do it. I was very interested, being a member of the regional council here that is responsible for social and community services, as to how the social service operation operates in Hong Kong. I was a little amazed at the fact that 45% of the housing in Hong Kong, both rental and ownership, is subsidized. That's a very high percentage, in my opinion, compared to our percentages here. We think ours is high, but that is high, in my opinion. And that's wonderful that the government can afford to do it. I was also very interested that Hong Kong now is facing some financial challenges, and they're looking at this terrible tax we have here in Canada called GST. I tried to discourage them that they should look otherwise than that because of the way, the unfavorable. We also, it's interesting that Hong Kong doesn't have any casinos. I thought that was it, but they sure have a lot of jockey clubs. That is a major contributor to their revenue. And the fact that they have been depending on revenue from land sales that now is dropping off, because I believe that typical of what's happening here, that the environmentalists are getting very much involved in the reclamation of land from the ocean, which we have one situation here in Mississauga, Lake Promenade Park, that we reclaimed from the lake, and it'll be the last one that'll ever be done because the environmental atmosphere that exists now, that we'd never get approval to do it again. So they're going through that we've gone through and second. Hong Kong, Larry, I know, which was his first visit to Hong Kong. I've been there, so I realize. The retail trade in Hong Kong is active from early morning till late at night. Where, as you know, in our city, it's only active on maybe Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and Sunday maybe. But it's not active in the morning. It usually starts after rush hours at night on Thursday, Friday, and of course Saturday when they're not working. He couldn't get over the fact that the stores are extremely active at 10 o'clock in the morning. And that means they have the population, of course, to support the retail trade. I was also interested in the way in which they, it was explained to me that they're now coming up with an ID card in Hong Kong, which again is really progress that we're nowhere near it here in Canada, in which that card will make it possible for people to move from one area, not only from one area, from one country to another that was ever adopted. Hong Kong is really advanced in technology. There's no question about it. I think we can learn a lot from Hong Kong. But it was interesting that the gentleman at the transportation said, I'll give you an example. He mentioned they can get a birth certificate in 15 minutes or a half an hour. I believe we're waiting 6 months here in Ontario. So, but he said even with all the speed that Hong Kong has been able through technology to implement in Hong Kong, the people don't think it's fast enough. I said, well, it's much faster than we ever operate. But isn't it interesting now? People expect more. No matter how much you improve the system, they expect more. I was very impressed with the forum and with the exhibition. It certainly portrayed the rest of the world. Hong Kong still is. I think there's some misunderstanding about the role of Hong Kong now. And I think it's something that we have to build, and that is Hong Kong is still a very active, very vibrant economic unit in the world. And I think that's got to be emphasized, that there's been no lessening of their impact due to the fact that they're now a part of China. And I think China looks to them. I think China looks to Hong Kong to implement many of the benefits that do exist in Hong Kong. And I think they're going to make a major contribution to the changes that China is going to have to go through to become part, now that they're part of the World Trade Organization. I think Hong Kong is going to be a great asset to them. So therefore, any company in Mississauga, in Ontario, or in Canada that wants to do business in China and has concern about risk, I would highly recommend they go through Hong Kong. That will be an insurance policy for them. And I think, therefore, with that promotion of that philosophy, I think we can get more of the intermediate companies. The large corporations can go into China. They don't have any problems because they can cope with any unfortunate incident they may run across. The intermediate companies can't. They can't afford to gamble or take that chance. So they are the companies that I think we should be encouraging to proceed through Hong Kong to do business in China. And I'll tell you, it's an open market. It is a big market, China. It is huge when you think of the population. So I think we should be concentrating on promoting the fact that there should be more Canadian involvement in China through Hong Kong.
There is a, thank you, Mayor. There is a very good exchange of people. There are close ties economically and culturally between Hong Kong and Canada. And I heard there are 50,000 Canadians in Hong Kong right now and holding Canadian passports. And these people are already the natural linkages between Hong Kong and Canada.
Let me say, of the 12 departments that we met, I think I'm right, and maybe Andre and Larry could correct me, at least 4 to 5 of the people, these are key individuals, were educated in Canada. They got their university years at either, I remember Saskatchewan, the University of British Columbia, and Toronto University. So, we felt at home in talking to them because they understood. They weren't unfamiliar with Canada, so it was wonderful to meet those people and to see them in these high positions in the government departments in Hong Kong.
Andre?
Well, I will make it very, very short. Actually, I think this trip actually really confirmed our belief that, yes, maybe we are a shy late to get into the China market for the small and for the medium-sized businesses. But we are not that late. We still have time to catch on. And this is the first contact in the sense that, because I went through with the Mississauga Board of Trade, other members, and in fact I have about 5 or 6 of the proposal of their businesses proposal buying or selling either from China or from Hong Kong. Due to the short time that we were staying there, I was able to do about 2 companies with appointments to have the matching services done by the Hong Kong Trade Development Council. and I will pass on to the other 5 or 6 to the Trade Development Council for their matching service. Because the matching service is available for us to do it. And of course, any of the other members who want to me to use me as a bridge to start as a starting point, that's fine too. And I'll be more than happy to help out. And probably within the next few months, I will be going back again and explore more on behalf of the members of the Mississauga Trade and the Mississauga Charity Professional Businesses. And I think that there's one more point that I want to point out. I think I just touch base on that. The agreement between China and Hong Kong, the good part is that, yes, maybe perhaps the laws and regulation in China might not be fully developed at this stage. It's interesting enough that what we have found at this time is that in Hong Kong, though, it is signed a contract in Hong Kong, the arbitration clause in Hong Kong could be enforceable in China. I mean, that clause is extremely, it's a welcome note to perhaps all the small and medium-sized businesses, let's say Mississauga in Ontario and Canada for that matter, because that is something that hopefully will give them, eliminate some of the fear about what's going on. No doubt about it, it's a difficult process to get into to China, but you know what? For such a big market, if you don't do it now, 5 years, 10 years down the road, you're going to miss the boat, period. Simple as that. So I would probably urge some of the companies within Mississauga, and if you need help, let us know. I will be more than happy to try to facilitate that. Going through the Honkong Economic Trade Office, the Hong Kong Trade Development Council, as well as the Hong Kong Canada Business Association, and Mississauga Board of Trade and Chinese Business Professional Businesses. We're going to make it happen. We're going to try to help to facilitate whatever business available here. If you want to do business in China, we'll try to facilitate that. I think that's what we want to put out.
Larry, this is your first trip to Hong Kong. Do you have any special feelings?
Yes, absolutely, Francis. As my first time there, I was fascinated, and I kept on telling the mayor and Andre everywhere we went, oh, this is fascinating, this is just so exciting. And it partly is because Hong Kong, there are 7 million people that live in Hong Kong, and it's an area of about 400 square miles. And just in terms of scale and perspective, Mississauga is 700,000 people in 100 square miles. So it's about 4 times the size of Mississauga space-wise, but it's got 10 times the population of Mississauga. And yet it's very well run, very well organized. People get around quite well, quite easily. The subway system, the MTR, is very efficient, very well run, very modern and clean. And that was one thing that struck me, and was particularly nice to see, that actually 9 out of 10 people in Hong Kong use the MTR every day. So some lessons that we hope we can pass on to transit people here, both at the city and the TTC and Go Transit. The mayor, being vice chair of Go Transit, I know has some ideas that she has taken back to Go Transit as well. In terms of business relationships, that was a very important part of our visit there. Being at the Hong Kong World Forum, we met with, there were 23 countries from around the world that have Hong Kong business associations, including the Canada-Hong Kong Business Association, which Dorothy Jean is chair of in Toronto. We're meeting, and we were able to meet with many of the representatives from Hong Kong business associations across the world to share and to learn and to develop further business relationships with. The World SME Expo, which also followed on after the Hong Kong Forum, brought together 50,000 people in the small and medium-sized business sectors, again, from all over the world, to talk about business development, business trade, and we were able to pass on information to promote Mississauga as a good place to locate and to do business with in Canada, as well as to help Mississauga businesses to expand and grow in world markets. So it was a very, very useful forum and conference for us, along with meeting with the Hong Kong SAR officials that we met.
Like many of you here, I didn't have the opportunity to go back home to Hong Kong for the Hong Kong Forum. Shame on me. But I heard they're a great experience, great meaning to the Canada delegation this year. And DJ, would you like to talk a bit about that?
Sure. Well, certainly Mayor McCallion added a lot to the Canadian delegation this year. She made a lot of friends for Canada and for Mississauga. And the photographs that we have are certainly a permanent memory of that. It was great having you with us, and we hope that you can block off the end of November next year to come again. And also having Andre Mack and the Team Mississauga group as part of our group from Canada helped raise our profile. There's a great momentum that we sense happening, and with having the mayor and the trade mission from Mississauga, along with the entire Canadian delegation, which actually represented a third of the world delegates attending the Hong Kong Forum. Larry made mention of the Hong Kong Forum and the Hong Kong Federation. Just to put this into some perspective for you, the Hong Kong Canada Business Association is part of what's referred to now as the Worldwide Federation of Hong Kong Overseas Business Associations. And there are 23 countries, and there are 23 countries around the world that have Hong Kong business associations. And there are 30 associations within those 23 countries. So we have access to 9,000 people around the world who have some connection with Hong Kong. So for a small geographic location made up of 7 million people, they have stretched their octopus arms out across the world. So anyway, at the Hong Kong Forum, the Canadian delegation represented a third of the delegates in attendance. Along with that, we got the prize for best attendance, which was one of our goals at the beginning. So we were there with well over 100 delegations. So the conference was significant. Through the Federation and with the assistance of the Hong Kong Trade Development Council, our members have access to the people who make things happen, both at the government level and at the business level. So we continue to strengthen our relationships with many associations, not only in Canada but into the U.S. and also into Hong Kong. So it was an excellent experience, even for those of us who have made many trips to Hong Kong. Every time we go, you meet new people, you learn new things, and find new opportunities.
Andrew, you're the big force behind this agreement.
Well, we are very, very honored and very delighted that the mayor has led Mississauga trade delegation to this Hong Kong Forum and the World SME Expo. Indeed, this initiative is part of the what we describe as the Hong Kong Canada momentum. This momentum is ongoing throughout the whole year because throughout the whole year we organized and we co-organized different trade delegations from Canada to Hong Kong. Some of these delegations are very sector specific. Some of them are for promoting export from Canada to Hong Kong, through Hong Kong to China. For example, for the ICT sector, for the film entertainment sector. Some of these delegations are to go to Hong Kong to source products so that the Canadian consumers can enjoy better quality and cheaper products in the Canadian markets. Now, this delegation in November is a multi-sector delegation. It is a highlight of this Hong Kong Canada momentum that we are working together to organize trade delegations from Canada to Hong Kong to continue to explore the Hong Kong business platform there. Looking ahead, we are also already planning on different delegations. For example, in January, we'll be having a Canadian delegation to the Hong Kong Fashion Week. In March, we are going to have a Canadian entertainment for the film television sector to go to the Hong Kong Film Mart to promote Canada's entertainment industry. And Of course, next November, we will be organizing another Canadian delegation to the Hong Kong Forum, and we hope that Mississauga will, and especially the mayor, will continue to support us. So that is what I
Thank you,
like to add.
thank you, Andrew. I think the Team Mississauga and the whole HKCB Hong Kong Forum event comes at a very good time in November, because as you may already know, the Prime Minister and the Trade Minister will be going to China and Hong Kong in January next year. So it comes in a very, very good timing, laying all those groundworks, and it's illustrated by the mayor. And Hong Kong is really the gateway for Canadian companies interested in exploring the Chinese market. As a risk handling agent, we can minimize the risk of individual companies to go to China, because we have all those experience of working with international companies, and we have all those networks in China already. Hong Kong companies are already the major investors in every single province in China. So we know how the system works, and we know the connections. So perhaps the media friends may have some questions for the mayor and all the other participants today. So shall we open up the floor? Any questions?
May I ask the mayor, what percentage of business in the manufacturing sector in Mississauga? Do you have any figures?
I don't know what the percentage. 30%.
30%.
30%.
So do you afraid that, Hong Kong or China will steal the manufacturing sector business from Mississauga to China? Because the labor cost in China is much cheaper,
Yeah.
and all the manufacturing plant they are moving to China. So if Mississauga company will go interested in, doing business in China,
Well,
maybe they move the plant to there. So
Yeah, I think it can work both ways, yes. I think there are Canadian companies that could establish an operation in China, yes. Or they can export to China, export not just products, of course. You know, we have a lot of technology that we can export as well, and China is looking for technology. So it can work both ways.
so you don't fear that we lose the manufacturing plant to China?
No, that doesn't mean they move out of Canada to China, to China. I doubt that many companies would move out of Canada, but there's no reason why they couldn't set up an operation in China.
Okay. Thanks.
Many companies have. Nortel did, General Electric did. Those are the large companies. Because I visited many years ago, I think at least 15 or 18 years ago, the General Electric set up in China.
Okay.
And I think to add to what Neil was saying is that, we do have a technology here. One of the two, there's a couple of proposals that I'm trying to take to Hong Kong. One is called the stem cell technology laboratory. We're trying to move that kind of technology. You can move over there. It would benefit the well-being of the people over there. The other part is perhaps on the more technical side, maybe to prolong the longevity of industrial battery. Those are little things. Those don't have to be big things, but the thing is, if they can make use of that, it's really helping them. And perhaps they may have certain technology there, but somehow along the line, we know that the Canadian technology level perhaps is a little bit more advanced in that sense. That they can make use of. So it's a trade-off. It's really a trade-off between here and there, and whatever it works. And we also talk about that perhaps maybe we should have more people coming over here to help out too. That kind of thing. Now that is based on the Canadian immigration regulation, that the more people coming from China over here to help out, hey, maybe we can revitalize the manufacturing area into the commodity products.
I know of two companies, a local company here, they're a Chinese company, that has brought two operations to Mississauga from China. They haven't closed over there, they opened up here.
That's right. And in fact, one of the dinner, actually this is one of the areas I think maybe we can talk, just spend a bit of time on that. One of the dinner that we were invited to is from the Laos family. The Laos family actually is the initial financial backbone for the ATI technology. So they invited us for dinner. One of the friends happened to be the chair of a public traded company. He's the one who took mayor to China the first time 20 years ago. So it was quite a nice reunion. And do you think, in fact, he might have something in mind that he wants to bring back to China, to Canada here. He's going to talk to us about that, whether or not something we can make use of here, or for that matter, maybe we can even manufacture over here. The second thing what I want to emphasize on that particular incident, very interesting, is that the planning of the Hong Kong government is looking for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years down the road. They're trying to make up the subway system that we were talking about. The subway system is to be used by all people. This chair of a public traded company, he escorted us back to the hotel, and on the way he said, well, you know, Mayor, I'm going to say goodbye because I'm going to take a subway. Think about it, the chair of a public traded company. He said he's going to take a subway back to over there somewhere that he will pick up by his car. But that's how Hong Kong operates. Anyone, not just the commoners, but anyone, will just take the subway system, and because it's so efficient. And that's how the government planned to make it so efficient in such a way that people would just make use of the system. That to me, I think is quite impressive on that basis.
Thank you.
And there's another thing I might add that we haven't mentioned, but the mayor was also a guest speaker at a dinner of the Hong Kong, actually the 3 Lions clubs in Hong Kong. And she was a keynote speaker on Sunday the 14th. And Andre arranged it through a contact of his who was Norman Shu, president of Sweden. And getting to these 3 Lions clubs, and the whole Team Mississauga delegation was there at the dinner. And the mayor did a great job of promoting Mississauga, promoting trade between Canada and Hong Kong and China. And the level of the business people that were at the dinner very much impressed us. You know, there are high-level business presidents and chairmen of companies that were members of the Lions Clubs and that attended the dinner. You know, we really were impressed by that opportunity, and there were over 60 people attending that dinner that evening to hear the mayor.
Mayor, I heard that you had a very good meeting with the Solicitor General of Hong Kong.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about your meeting?
Yeah, that was really interesting. He went through the entire process and gave us, as I said, the picture of the way in which the negotiations that took place were successful with the entrance or the takeover of China, of Hong Kong. And the thing he emphasized, of course, was this advantage that Hong Kong has of arbitration, I would call it, or mediation, in regard to dealing with companies in China. In other words, as Henri said, if you're going to do business in China and you go through Hong Kong, you can have that in the contract, that if anything doesn't go according to Hoyle, that the Hong Kong representation can invoke the mediation or arbitration. I don't know what they call it. I forget what he called it, either mediation. Well, it's really arbitration, to arbitrate the issue. Well, if you go direct to China, that doesn't exist. There's no protection. That was the highlight of his, but also the fact that the justice system in Hong Kong has not changed because of its relationship with Hong Kong, with China. And I think the message I got that they are working very, very hard with China to implement the justice system of Hong Kong in China. I think they can make a major contribution. I think it's much better than, say, China looking to Canada's justice system or to the American justice system. They're looking at the Hong Kong. And there again, I think it's much easier for Hong Kong to sell them on the changes that should occur than for another country to do it.
Thank you. Any further questions from the media?
We talked a little bit about companies going through Hong Kong to achieve outsourcing or whatever with regard to relationships in China. if the company were to approach the city, what is the direction you would give them at this time, Larry or Mayor Natalia, with regard to how to proceed, or to any other member of the panel? I'm a small or medium-sized business, and how do I know? How now do I proceed?
Yeah, first of all, we want to find out what type of company you're in and what sector you're in, what specialty. But we would immediately put you in touch with the Hong Kong Trade Development Council. And initially, they would do a review of your company profile to see about matching opportunities with companies that are already in Hong Kong. See what opportunities there are for taking your product, if you're selling a product or making a product, to the Hong Kong or Asia market, and they would take it from there and really work with you on a regular basis. We would be that initial contact for you.
Okay.
I think something that Canada has to look at too in regard to China, and that is there are possibilities for Chinese investment in Canada from mainland China, not just from Hong Kong. And I'm not sure we have worked too hard to implement that. There's concern, maybe some concern about Chinese looking at the oil company out west. There's Chinese investment looking to buy it. And so what in Husky? What's wrong with it? We invest in China. Why shouldn't China, if there are people that have money want to invest in Canada, why shouldn't they? And that should be encouraged, the two-way street. Because there is money in I think Hong Kong is benefiting greatly from the fact that the access to Hong Kong now is quite easy. I think a lot of the tourism and the retail trade in Hong Kong has been really beefed up with the opening of the border between China and Hong Kong. I think they've gained greatly from it. Because there is money in China. I think some people think there isn't.
But you're talking about the China want to invest in Canada.
Yeah.
And what do you think about the China try to buy that major mine company, Rwanda?
Yeah.
You think that's a good idea to sell them?
Well, let's put it this way. I think we're a world community now.
Yeah.
And I don't think those barriers that have existed in the past should prevent us from the two-way street of investment, no matter where it comes from, in my opinion, unless it's laundered money. But I think we have to open up our minds to the fact that we are now a world community, and that we're a part of it, and therefore, as long as it doesn't take business out of Canada, the investment, I think investing in Canada, if a company can be even more successful in Chinese investment, then it provides jobs, and therefore and provides revenue. We haven't objected to Toyota coming in and building cars in Cambridge from Japan. In fact, I think it's a great asset to us. Think of the employment that Toyota has provided in Cambridge and Honda in Flushing. So I don't see anything wrong with it. I think it's the way the world's going.
You said China have two companies doing business in Mississauga now, right? And how many Mississauga business doing in Hong Kong and China now? Do we have figures?
I don't think we have statistics on that. We wouldn't have. I know, what is the company I went over to cut the ribbon? Yes, Biotech. I was over 4 years ago to cut the ribbon on a $30 million development in Pudong, just outside of Shanghai. By Yes Biotech, Mississauga, which is owned by Chinese. So there was a $30 million investment in China.
Have you in mainland China in this trip, or just in Hong Kong?
Well, I've been in China. I was in China 20-some years ago.
How about this time?
When you had to have special money,
I see.
when you had to only shop at government stores, and I was in Beijing and Xiamen. They flew me down to Xiamen. What was the company that was here in the Europe? What was it? know the company in China. They established the Ministry of Machine Building, had an office here in Mississauga.
Siemens?
And they, pardon?
Siemens?
No, no. And they arranged for me to visit, as well as the Consul General, to visit China. And I'll tell you, it was, you know, the men were all in those army-looking jackets, not ties and shirts like they are today. And I'll tell you, the main street of Beijing, I never saw so many bicycles in all my life. There weren't many cars,
Oh,
no
they
traffic
changed now. Yeah,
signals.
they changed quite a lot.
Yeah, so in 20 years, China has
Yeah.
just made major progress,
Yeah.
major progress. I don't think that people of Canada realize the progress that has been made in China in the last 20 years.
Yeah, so you've been in Hong Kong, have you been in mainland China in this trip?
No, we didn't, strictly
You
Hong
don't have a
Kong.
chance to
Yeah, we were over to Macau,
Macau. I see.
yeah. We met the trade person in Macau.
So are you planning another trip to mainland China?
Well, you know, I have to run Mississauga the odd time, with help. No, I think the next trade is to another country. But next year, we may look at going again.
Yeah, thank you.
I think there's a lot of potential, a lot of potential.
You mentioned that a third of the people attending the SME Expo were Canadian. Why the big interest from Canada this year? And were there other cities besides Mississauga from Canada sending delegations?
Yeah, well, the delegation was from across Canada.
Yeah, but was Mississauga the only city that sent a delegation?
I think it's the great efforts of the Hong Kong office, trade office here in Toronto that is really, and of course, Andre Mack,
Yes.
who got a lot of people here involved.
Or did you-
And
did
of
you-
course,
I could add too, with the Hong Kong Canada Business Association, we have 10 sections across Canada. So there were representatives from each of the sections who attended. And there was one other more formal commission from the province of Manitoba as well, who were in attendance and took in the Hong Kong Forum and the SME Expo as well.
the deputy premier of Manitoba was there.
But Mississauga was the only city to do that?
Pardon?
Mississauga was the only
Yeah,
city.
from across Canada,
But
that's right.
why the big interest from Canada this year?
It's not just this year, it's continuous momentum.
Okay.
We are very pleased to see that, because what is happening is that all along Canadian businesses have been too focused on the North American market. And now with the China rising, the China momentum, a lot more and more Canadian companies, especially SMEs, are looking for ways and means to expand their businesses, diversify their businesses from North America to Asia, especially with China. So these participants are seeing the value of joining this trade delegation to Hong Kong this time, so that they can gather the latest intelligence of how to do business with China through Hong Kong. They can also make use of the business matching service that we arrange for them. They can also do networking. In fact, going back to your earlier question, how Mississauga SMEs can make use of the existing infrastructure to help them to diversify their businesses. In fact, we already have a very good infrastructure in existence in Canada that we would like to invite Mississauga companies, especially SMEs, to make use of that. For example, through our cooperation here, the partners of Mississauga, Hong Kong Government, Hong Kong Canada Business Association, and my organization, the Hong Kong Trade Union Council, we can provide business intelligence to Mississauga SMEs if they are interested in the China market. We can also match-make them with potential Hong Kong business partners through our complementary business matching service. In addition, we also organize initiatives, marketing opportunities, for example, projects like the trade delegation to Hong Kong, these various sector-specific trade delegation to Hong Kong, to promote Mississauga's exports to the Hong Kong to the China market. Now, these are all for the SMEs in Canada to take part in. And we very, very much hope to welcome more and more Mississauga companies joining this momentum.
I just ask a question on that? We've heard mention of the biotech sector and also the IT sector. What other sectors are prominent?
In fact, there are, of course, we welcome all kinds of sectors, all kinds of industries to look at business opportunities over there. But we also have identified more potential sectors. ICT, talk about the environment sector, building materials, food sector, biotech sector. The important thing that we should realize is that Hong Kong is an open market. We don't just promote exports from Hong Kong. We also promote imports into Hong Kong and imports through Hong Kong to China market. The important thing, I think, for SMEs is to do their homework carefully. And to help them, we can provide them with necessary intelligence. And then step by step do the business matching, and at appropriate occasion, join our projects. Because when you go to Hong Kong to China market, if you go as a group under the Canadian banner, it's more effective. Francis mentioned about January, there will be a Team Canada to be led by Trade Minister James Peterson. That is also a good occasion for Mississauga companies to take advantage of. And of course, next November, join the mayor again. Because I can tell that during Hong Kong, she has very, very much promoted marketing Mississauga in the Hong Kong business platform. She was the center figure of the whole event.
We always believe in seeing is believing. That's why we encourage Canadian businessmen and Canadian visitors to Hong Kong to see for themselves how our city works. And we also believe in remembering the good times. That's why we have prepared a very interesting plaque to the mayor. And should we just do that then?
This way, please.
Do it again in Hong
Yeah,
Kong.
for the wonderful, very well organized. We learned a lot, and we're going to use it to promote the connection between Canada and Hong Kong, and between Canada and China through Hong Kong. So thank you very much. Well, I know I speak on behalf of Andre and Larry.
I know some Canadian companies, they do sign a sister city chapter agreement with certain cities in China. Did Mississauga do that, or?
No, we have one sister city relationship, Mississauga and the city of Korea City in Japan.
Okay.
Our city council has decided they only want one twin city as a policy at this time. They are open to business relationships with other cities, but as far as a sister city or twin city relationship, they're limiting it to the one city in Japan right now.
Okay. So you're the team Mississauga to Hong Kong. How do you see the effect or the result for this trip?
The Team Mississauga delegation was actually initiated by Andre Mack of who's on both the board of the Mississauga Board of Trade, as well as the Mississauga Board of Chinese Professionals and Businesses, and organized a delegation initially of 12 companies in Mississauga to join the mayor on her visit to Hong Kong, and also extended their visit to the Pearl River Delta in mainland China to explore the opportunities for business growth and development in mainland China.
Yeah. Is Mississauga a big city in Canada? Is it the number 4, number 5?
Mississauga is the 6th largest city in Canada. Right now, it's the 6th largest city in Canada. We think it'll be shortly the 5th largest in probably another 2 or 3 years.
I know Mississauga grows a lot. I mean, in populations and industries. Will it become like major industrial cities, or the place where people live, or?
Mississauga right now has more people that come into work every day from outside of Mississauga than people from Mississauga commute out to other parts of the GTA. So Mississauga is a net importer of labor, and it's an employment center. There are over 400,000 jobs in Mississauga. So it's no longer a bedroom community as it used to be thought of 10, 20 years ago. It really is a major business center. In fact, in terms of large companies, 93 of the Fortune 500 companies have a location in Mississauga. That's almost 20% of the Fortune 500 companies are located in Mississauga. And 58 of those have their Canadian head office in Mississauga.
And no, Mississauga is so close to Toronto. Do you think that it's competing with Toronto right now?
Well, we don't necessarily have to compete with Toronto. We provide an alternative to businesses to being located in the Toronto area, being close to the airport, but having a very low tax rate, property tax rate in comparison to Toronto provides an alternative to companies that are looking for perhaps having more space available, being closer to an employment labor market both in the Toronto area and in the West Toronto area.
All right, thank you, Larry.
Okay.
Hi, Mayor. So you're leading the team Mississauga to Hong Kong. How do you see the trip? Is it
I
successful?
thought the trip was very beneficial. We learned a lot about the connection between Hong Kong and China, and certainly acquired the knowledge that we can pass on to companies here in Mississauga that are interested in getting involved in China. It's an unlimited market that more Canadian companies should be involved in China, and we're hoping as a result of our trip and finding out the protection that is in place if you go to do business in China through Hong Kong. Because when Hong Kong became a part of China, they negotiated some protection, such as an arbitration situation, that if a company has problems in dealing with the company in China, that there's an arbitration process as long as you go through Hong Kong in arranging that business deal.
Okay. That means like people still believe in Hong Kong law system rather than the China law system?
Well, the justice system in China is being developed, but the Hong Kong justice system that existed before the British justice system, that really what it is, it still continues. So that protection is there. But in negotiations with China, they were able to negotiate that there is an arbitration procedure if a company doing business in China that has gone through Hong Kong has arbitration protection.
So from this trip, did you bring back the contracts or joint venture?
No, that was not the purpose of the trip, to bring back contacts. It was to promote Mississauga, needless to say, in Hong Kong, but it was also to acquaint as mayor of Mississauga with the possibilities that exist. I've known for a long time that the market in China is an unlimited market for a Canadian company that wants to invest in China or export to China or import from China. It's a two-way street.
So are you saying that you're encouraging SME, small medium-sized businesses?
Yeah, I think what our challenge is to encourage the medium-sized businesses. The large corporations have no problem in establishing connections and locations in China. I think it's the intermediate companies that need the confidence that it's possible, that the market is there, and that arrangements can be made to assure them of a success.
Yeah.
And that's what we have to sell.
Everybody knows that you're running Mississauga City so well and making it from nowhere to a famous city. What's your next goal? I mean,
Well, our next desire is to become an independent city, really. Because of our size, we are the sixth largest city in Canada. We are financially successful in which we are debt-free with a fair amount of reserves in the bank to protect our future. And so we are one of Canada's best managed cities. So we have a lot to offer.
I see. Any chances of becoming charter or independent? What you say?
Becoming
Independent. You say it's independent city, right? That you
well,
need the approval from the
that
provincial.
is our
Or
ambition to become an independent city somewhere down the road, because we are as I say, the sixth largest in Ontario, sixth largest in Canada, third largest in Ontario. There's Toronto, Ottawa, and then we're third. We've done a reasonably good job with. There's no city of our size in Canada that's debt-free.
yeah. Do you think you can do it within your term? Do you think you can make the city of Mississauga become independent within your term, or?
Well, it just depends how long I'm going to run. No, I think it's in the cards. There's no question about it.
So it's
when
viable.
It's
Yeah.
up to the province of Ontario.
Okay. So any plan for retirement or any?
No, I don't. I have no intention of retiring. I've always said that my retirement will be based on my health. If I can't keep up with the very heavy agenda that I have now, then I will retire, because I do not believe that you should coast. I think you should always be doing more and more and more, and that's my ambition. Now, until I can't do more and more and more, I'm going to continue to offer myself to the people of Mississauga.
Yeah. Running a city like Mississauga makes you very busy. Do you have find time enough for your family, for your friends?
Well, no, not too much time for my family or my friends. Fortunately, my family has grown up and they understand, but I still make time to see them on special occasions, etc.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Andre 啊，呢係今次個 trip 嘅成員之一，你覺得呢個 trip 點啊？
我覺得呢個 trip 係好成功，好成功係喺邊個角度嚟睇咧？就係實際上咧，就希望引領到世界市嘅所謂嘅商貿即係所有嘅 businesses 啦，即係所有嘅中小型嘅企業咧，能夠希望由藉呢種機會咧，引領到佢係有機會去呢個吸引到呢個香港或者係大陸嘅市場，因為中小型企業對於佢嚟講，呢邊嘅生意比較上係保守好多嘅。咁所以因為佢咁保守嘅時候，對於佢嚟講咧，就係我點樣我會去到中國度做嘢，即係做投資又或者做買嘢又或者賣嘢咁樣。咁唯一就可以喺呢個情況之下，希望呢個係一個所謂嘅第一次嘅接觸，希望能夠繼續能夠做到，就係希望引領到中小型企業繼續有咁嘅興趣喺香港做生意。
今次除咗政府官員之外，有冇其他啲即係不同行業嗰啲商業人士啊？
有啊，我哋總共有7、8間公司嘅代表，同埋另外仲有手上有成5個 proposal 啊。
今次有冇帶翻啲 contract 翻嚟？有冇啲成功嘅？
好，今次係第一次 first contact， 所以咧就係做咗第一次嘅 first contact 先咁埋。
咁會唔會下一次嘅 trip 咧？其實
下一次相信會幾個月之後，我可能再翻香港再睇下如果有咩資料有興趣咧，我帶多啲咁樣嘅資料翻去咯。
唔該晒你。
香港實際上係喺呢方面咧就有啲成功嘅，加拿大都有。我哋間唔中喺加拿大嗰大研討會咧，都有揾啲加拿大公司出嚟。係 HKETO 係其中，你有去咩？HKETO 係其中一個例子。咁實際上我哋唔會去每一個加拿大城市搞呢個香港嘅時候，都有邀請好似 HKETO 嘅公司嘅代表出嚟講下佢哋嘅經驗。我嘅睇法咧就係咁樣可以因為咁樣對呢個加拿大中小企俾多啲有用嘅等佢哋同香港合作進軍中國市場。即係希望呢個 momentum 可以繼續 build up。我哋已經開始差唔多開始籌組下一年11月，係11月21號至23號，就係香港論壇同埋呢個世界中選11月21至23號。